Rising with the morning sun, I got no work today.
Pretty big fish.
Pretty looking.
Yeah, there's a big old fish. No wonder.
In the ocean bay. I'd be fishing on a mountain stream or a lake.
Jimmy's gonna kiss his biggest fish ever.
I got her. I got her.
Come on.
I got that one.
Oh, look at the size of that man.
Size of that fish. Holy cow, look at that.
Finally. You caught new ones all day.
Big worms, big bass, that's what I'm talking about. I'm fishing today with Brook Pauley. Brook is with RockyBrook Sinkers. As a matter of fact, his mom and daddy owns a company, so he probably gets his sinkers free. I don't know. We'll be talking about them today, but what I'm fishing with here, what I'm making fun about is I've caught a couple, 2 or 3 little old bitty bass. And I want you to look at the size of the worm we're fishing. This is a big, young, mighty worm. Not only is it long, it's 10.5 inches long, but it's big around. I mean, it's a mighty worm. It's got these grooves in here to create a little vibration as it goes through the water. And if you'll notice what we've done here, I've got a little RockyBrook sinker, limestone sinker, up above on my line, just on my line right there. What it does, every time I move that shaky head, that clicks down against that lead on that shaky head right there. And that's an E-jig is what it is. Edwin Evers designed it. And now Edwin, I guess he screws the worm into that screw right there. But I don't like that, so I fix like that, and it allows that to set up at a lot better angle than it is with the screw head. So that's the way I like mine. Now you can screw the head of your worm into that if you want, that's fine. But I like them down like that, so that's the way I rig mine. Got red eyes on it. He stole that idea from me. All right, let's go after another one of those giants. We put those on to catch big ones. Or did you have that little worm on? Oh, you had a little worm on there. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Little worm, little fish.
That makes sense. I get that.
You know, Brook, you fished all 6 of the FLW tour tournaments this year, the top level tournaments, as a co-angler. You're what we call up in the front of the boat, we call a professional co-angler, because you fish all the tournaments, and actually, of course, you're not competing against the guy in the front of the boat, you're competing against all the other co-anglers, but it's $40,000 to win a co-angler tournament, so it's still, you know, it's professional co-anglers is what we call them. And you'd never fished any tournaments, no club tournaments, no local tournaments, no nothing. Your first tournament is right out there with the big guys in the front of the boat, and you're fishing against co-anglers that have fished maybe 100 co-angler tournaments. They're, like I said, what we call professional co-anglers. But you made the money 5 of those 6 tournaments. You made the money 5 of those 6 tournaments. That's remarkable. How in the world, how do you explain that?
I tell you, Jimmy, I think it had a little bit to do with luck, and just I got good draws too. You know, I got good draws. Everybody, everywhere we went, the guys I was fishing with, they were in the money, and that helps. That helps when you're co-angler, because you just know you're going to be around fish. You
know, getting good draws is an important part of being a co-angler. There's no doubt about that. But you couldn't have got a good draw every single day. I mean, that 12 tournaments, 6 tournaments, that's 12 days, and then plus making the top 20 cut in some of those days and the top 10. Couldn't have a good draw every single tournament. So was there one significant bait that you fished more than any other? Or did you fish a variety of stuff? What'd you rely on when you're in the back of the boat? Some of those guys are like vacuum cleaners up in the front of the boat. That's what everybody says. I always let my co-angler catch plenty of fish, but London Bottom don't do that.
Well, I tell you, Jimmy, I did a lot of finesse fishing. I used a lot of drop shot, did shaky head, and I used that RockyBrook sinker. I mean, all season I had it on the line one way or another, whether it was a drop shot or a shaky head. You know, fishing from the back of the boat, you can't afford to get hung up a lot, and I think that was a big key. I was really able to fish a lot longer in those spots without getting nearly as many snags. And you know, you fish longer, you're gonna catch more fish, and I just think that helped. That had a lot to do with it.
Well, obviously, if your mom and dad owns a company and you're the you know, that's your main sponsor. I guess your only sponsor.
Yeah, they own it. I get to work it.
But you sort of had to have that limestone sinker on there one way or the other, and you actually came up with the idea of putting the little small 1/62, a 1/64, a 1/62, an 1/8 ounce or whatever, but putting a sinker up on your line, a limestone sinker up on your line, that would always click against the head. So if you're fishing a shaky head, that's clicking against lead. If you're fishing one of the granite sinkers that y'all make, it's clicking against that granite. If you're fishing just a regular bullet sinker that's lead, it's clicking against it. So at all time, of course, the sound magnifies in the water, so that had to help.
I mean, that sound I think was definitely key. I mean, you know, like I said, a little bit of sound, it helps. And anytime you can offer something just a little bit different, I mean, and it not only is it a sound, it's a loud sound, it's a natural sound. And I really think, I mean, it helps attract fish to your bait. I really do. I think it was just a key factor.
Come here, guy. Got a little bit better fish. Finally caught a fish worthy of the worm. Not a big fish, but a bigger fish. Yeah, at least one worthy of our worm. You know, all a shaky head is a piece of lead. That's all it is, a lead with a hook on it. And they come in a lot of different ways. They got a lot of different ways to fasten your. That's a little bit better fish right there. That's the best one we caught today. But it's just a piece of lead, and we've been fishing lead head jigs for ever since I was a little boy, so it's not a new bait at all. Somehow they started calling it shaky head. But that's a good name for it, particularly when you put a limestone sinker on there, like most of the pros are doing nowadays, and because that sinker will hit against that lead. But this is painted. This is an E-jig, and it's painted a green color, which is kind of a green pumpkin color. It can be just lead without painting. Most of the pros like to use either red or, green or black. And this particular E-jig's got the red eyes, which makes it even a little bit better. But all it is just a jig, a lead head jig. That's all it is. And you put some sort of plastic on. So when you hear them talking about a shaky head, that's all they're talking about is just a lead head jig. Now, in thinking about that, when you got that little sinker on there like we do, that little limestone, and you shake that, every time you shake it, it's going click, 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 click. And you know, from swimming, water really magnifies sound. So that little clicking sound, and those bass have a keen, keen sense of sound. They can hear it from a long way off. So when you shake that thing, when you shake your rod tip, just shake it just like that right there. When you do that, you're creating a lot of noise down there.
This portion of Jimmy Houston Outdoors has been brought to you by Mercury Marine. Jimmy Houston Outdoors, America's favorite fishing show, is brought to you by Tracker Boats. Call 1-800-TRACKER today. By Yum, start a feeding frenzy. By Mercury Marine. By AmberTech, stopping friction around the world. And by High Seas, when the money's on the line.
Whoa! What'd you tell me the biggest fish you'd ever caught was 5 pounds?
I think we might beat it.
Not now, I got one too.
Oh, yeah.
I got one too. I got one. Mine's little compared to yours.
Oh.
My fish is a nice fish. I told you we was gonna catch some good ones. Yeah, my fish is a nice fish. He's not like yours though.
Mine's still fighting.
Well, yeah, he's still fighting. Mine's 3.5 pounds. A net.
What's that?
You ain't even got him up here at the boat. What are you gonna do with the net? You have to have a 40-foot handle on it. You get him up here and wear him out, I'll get him for you.
Oh man, he's wearing me out.
That looked like a 7-pounder when he jumped. I don't know if he's that big or not. Watch, we're gonna crash in some trees. Don't fall out of the boat.
Look at that.
Look at that, sports fans. That's what you use a mighty worm for right there.
Oh man.
That's what a mighty worm's for. Yes, sir.
There he is. I think that broke my record, Jimmy.
That broke your record. We could weigh him, but he's probably about 6'10" or 12, I'd say.
I'll take your word
There
for
you
it.
go. Go ahead. You
Yeah.
got him.
He deserves a kiss, huh?
Looky there. Yeah. hold him out right here in front. Got it. All right, buddy.
All right, baby girl.
Did you give her a kiss already?
I did, yeah.
I'm gonna say that's 6 pounds, 12 ounces.
I believe
And
you.
I'll bet you I'm within 2 ounces one way or the other.
I believe you.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
Thank you, girl.
Way to go, RockyBrook. Way to go.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now see what he's fishing with here. He's gonna have to re-rig it there.
Yeah.
He just got a little shaky head, and that's just a little round-headed shaky head. But again, now he's got a little bit bigger. He's got a little bit bigger RockyBrook limestone sinker on there. But every time you shake that, thing on there, that rock, that limestone rock hits that lead head, and it clicks, click, 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 click. And you know how sound multiplies in the water, and it just gets those big fish to you. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! All right, it's 3 o'clock, 5 minutes after 3 in the afternoon. We've been talking about that mighty worm catching a mighty bass, and all we've caught is peanuts all day long. And then I get one that is really and truly a nice 3.5 pound fish, biggest fish we got on all day. And right before I set the hook, he sets the hook on that giant. That's probably not the only giant we're gonna catch. One of the things that we've been doing is we've been looking in lots of places and covering a lot of water. We're about 12 foot deep right now, and it's late in the year, nearly November, and the bass are moving to shallow water. Some of them are moving from shallow water back to deep water. They're scattered out. It's kind of hard to find them, but once you locate an area where they are, there's usually several more big fish in there, because these fish are not too far away from bunching up for the winter. And they haven't done it yet, because really they haven't gone on this big major feed yet. But they're just in a lot of transitional. The water temperature 70 degrees, 69, 70, depending on where you are, which is shallow water fishing. And they still haven't moved out deep yet. So, but they're not up in real shallow water. So I kind of figured they're like 8 to 12. That big fish was in 12. Whoa, how big are you? Whoa, good lands. Yeah, look at that. Oh my gosh, it come off. Did you see that hog? Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. That was a big fish. Holy moly. I love it. I still had a lot of fun with her, even though she broke my heart. Write that up in the song, Toby. Still had a lot of fun with her, even though she broke my heart. He just acted a little there for a minute. Just trying to trick me. Trying to trick me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good fish. You try to get off. That's half the size of that other one I just lost, though. I'm talking half the size. I didn't lose that one, though.
Nice one, Jimmy.
That's a good one. In fact, that other one might have been more than twice as big as that one. That was a good one right there. That other one's a big old fish. This girl's got worms.
She's all yours.
Don't kiss a girl with worms. No matter how pretty they are. That's Jimmy's tip of the day right there. Okay, for our tip this week for Houston's Helpful Hits, don't kiss girls with worms. Check them out. They got worms. Don't be smooching on them. Remember that, Brook. Remember that.
Well noted, Jimmy. Well noted.
This portion of Jimmy Houston Outdoors has been brought to you by EnviroFit, earth-friendly gear.
Jimmy's Look Back is brought to you by All Day Energy, healthy energy at last.
Come on, Ricky, catch one, boy.
I'm ready.
Where's my spook? I lost my spook. Did you get my spook?
Mm-mm.
Golly.
Woo!
That sounded good.
Woo.
Hang on to him, Rick. Hang on to him, buddy.
Was that a strike or was that
That
a
was a
strike?
strike right there.
Oh,
I mean, he
mercy.
come and got that baby big time, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Ooh, doggies.
Yeah.
Man, what a strike.
That scared me. Ah. Pretty fish.
About 5 pounds?
Yeah, about 5.
Now, what, you need 25-pound line for a 5
Yep,
pounder?
you sure do.
If about here, he could break your line, couldn't he?
Yeah.
I promise you.
Here, you want to kiss him?
No, you kiss him.
No
About
way.
time you learned how to kiss a fish.
You got teeth, too.
He wasn't very far from the boat when he hit either. I about jumped out of the boat. I set the hook when he hit. I was on the inside the boat. It's such a big strike. I jerked. I thought maybe he had mine. But he didn't. Yeah, I gave fooling around, throw that top water all morning. Finally caught something on it.
know.
You knew them big uns liked it, didn't you?
They love it down here.
Them
You
big
just
uns
get a
just
day
like
where you could get 10 bites on it, you'd have you some
heavyweight.
show 'em up heavyweighers.
I got one right here. He ain't exactly as big as yours. Kind of like that commercial. Well, not exactly. This is what they're feeding on right here. One of the important things in fishing is always to pay attention to what your fish are feeding on, to find out what they're feeding on. And I look down their mouth a lot of times to see if there's a crawdad tail or something in there. But sometimes I can take this little 1/8-ounce spinnerbait, and this is what they're feeding on here. You better go hide, buddy. My eyes will never get big and brown. Hanging around here, you'll get eaten. Jimmy's Look Back is brought to you by All Day Energy, healthy energy at last.
Got him?
I think I do.
Oh, yeah. Good fish, good fish. Good fish right there.
It's a hungry fish. He doesn't
Well,
wanna give
this
up.
morning we were catching the little ones. This afternoon we caught the big ones. We just had to work our way through them, I guess. Man, this morning it was just small fish after small fish. Finally, that's a good fish right there.
He
They like that big old worm.
ate it up.
I'm just amazed at how many small fish we caught this morning. This afternoon, they mostly been good ones.
No worms, Jim. Well,
Well,
maybe
go ahead-
some worms.
go ahead and give it a
I
kiss
can't kiss
then.
that one.
Huh? Go ahead and give it a kiss. Don't have any worms. Come here, baby. Come here, baby. Come up in this boat with me. Oh, yeah. Don't you throw my worm off. I'm gonna catch me another one on that worm. That color I'm using looks like a June bug,
There's
but
one.
they call it a Bama bug. It's a Bama bug bass right there. But it's pretty doggone close to June bug, I'm here to tell you. One of the things that I do with a worm like this, it's a fairly hard worm. This worm's hard. It's made to be able to use over and over. Is when I rig it and I put my hook down through there, I'll go ahead and run the point of my hook all the way through like that, where I've got a hole that can go through, and then I'll back it in there and have it inside where it's weedless. But where it's got a hole that it can go through, it makes it a lot easier on your hook set. Now you'll get hung up a little bit more with it that way because it can go through pretty easy when you do that too. But it gives you a little bit easier situation to get that hook driven through when you get a bite.
Oh, pretty girl. Pretty girl, wow. Woo, my goodness. No worms either, Jimmy. She's healthy.
Jimmy Houston Outdoors is brought to you by Duracell Marine RV Batteries. Start strong, troll long. Duracell, a name you can trust. By Blakemore Roadrunner. You can't fish 'em wrong as long as you fish 'em slow. By US Reel, with performance means everything. By Booyah, say it loud, say it proud. And by Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here. Houston's Helpful Hits is brought to you by Jimmy Houston High-Tech Performance Fishing Rods.
Obviously, there's quite a few different knots you can tie when you're fishing, but the best knots you want to tie, if you're going to tie a cinch down knot that's going to cinch down tight on your hook or on your lure, you want to tie a knot that's a pure 100% knot, one that won't break. So if you get hung up and you break your line off and you retrieve your lure, the knot is still there. The line broke, it's a 100% knot. I tie a 100% knot. It's a Jimmy Houston knot. I developed it over 20 years ago, and we've been tying it ever since and using it on any time we want to cinch a line down all the way tight on the bait. Now the main thing to remember is to double your line. Run the double line through the eye of the hook and then just drop your bait down free. The bait's laying down free, you don't have a hold of it. Then lay this line that you run through the eye of the hook over the index finger of your left hand, like I've done like such, and then go underneath your finger. Now in doing that, now you've got 2 sets of double line that you're going to wrap. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 wraps. This little loop that you created up the top underneath your finger, this is what went through the eye of the hook. Simply go back through that loop, back in there. Get a hold of it, wet it down a little bit so when you cinch it up, it won't tie. Now if that line has crossed over itself, when you go to tighten it up, it'll break. It'll just cut it like it's 4-pound test line or something. But if you can pull real hard and that line doesn't break, that means you tied that knot correctly. Now here's what you end up with that you've got to cut off of here. You got the loop, which you went through the eye of the hook, and the tag end of the line. Just take your snips, side cutters, whatever you're using, and snip that off. All 3 of them in one cut there, and you got all of them off, or you got 2 of them off. Don't bite that line like that. Pure 100% fishing knot.
Well, it's late in the day and the sun's getting low. Caught me a big one, but I let him go. I sure had fun just watching him stretch my line. Made me a lifetime memory out here fishing Jimmy Houston and me. Hey Jimmy, I think we'll have to go